In the headlines, air access issues remain on the front burner, but the tourism minister says restoration efforts at the Douglas Charles Airport have not affected commercial flights. Plans by a prominent Dominican to establish a regional shipping company moves to another level, and police raids over the holiday weekend yielded close to $200,000 worth of cannabis weed. I'm Andrea Lee with the Channel 5 News. Details after this. We begin with the Tourism Minister Robert Tang, who says although ongoing rehabilitation works at the Douglas Charles Airport have not been completed, commercial flights are still ongoing.
The $31 million project has been going on since December and estimated to be completed by June. Airport authorities have been working to increase flights to the island, and major carrier Liat has since restored its night service to the country. Sections of the airport's apron and taxiway are still in disrepair since Tropical Storm Erica in August.
With regards to passenger flights, there's no effect on the passenger flights. The only flight that I know that's affected right now is AmeriJet, and I think work is being done to fix the apron, the parking area, and that is the only flight that's affected by the airport's damage to the infrastructure. The only aircraft that I'm aware of that's impacted by the taxiway is AmeriJet. So AmeriJet now has to drop all their stuff in another island and then ship by sea to come here. But the regular flights are not affected. And from the Ministry of Tourism, we are very much concerned about air access, and for the Dominica Discover Authority, we have an air access committee who are actively working with the airlines to ensure that we get as much access coming in and out of Dominica. So as we speak, they're constantly working on those issues.
In other lead stories now, former Prime Minister of Dominica, Oliver James Seraphin, has made headway in plans to transport goods, including agricultural produce, across the Caribbean. Iduna John Baptist has more.
Oliver Seraphin is president of a shipping company, Global Shipping, which operates 2 vessels with a view to providing a reliable inter-Caribbean trade service. Following a fact-finding mission in the BVI this month, Global Shipping has announced the launch of its service for that region. As a result, one of the company's vessels, the MV American Liberty, is expected here on April 17 and 18 to collect cargo for the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. Seraphin says he has a connection to the BVI since he transported produce to Tortola from Dominica while he was involved in the business of agricultural exports over 20 years ago.
We have then decided that we will focus within the territory of the USVI and the BVI, and the BVI in particular stands out for us as a major area of interest for various reasons. It's an island with a number of persons from various islands in the Caribbean. We know that there are a large number of Vincentians, Dominicans, Antiguans, Lucians, and Kittians, and of course Antiguans here. And each and every one of them have their own desire for their homemade products. The indigenous population of Dominicans here and St. Vincentians, etc., can send back cargo to their families. In turn, we will bring in agricultural produce. There's the opportunity for moving goods and services at a pace that was never done before.
The service will operate out of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands with trade routes to St. Vincent, St. Lucia, St. Martin, Antigua, and the Dominican Republic. The plan is to add other ports to the route, including Barbados and Martinique in the near future.
And we'll be doing a north-south connection. And so we stretch from the U.S. Virgin Islands, including Santo Domingo, of course, for specific reasons, and going as far back as Trinidad. The 2 boats will meet in a middle point, possibly Dominica, and transfer cargo from the respective regions of the North and South Caribbean. We can carry 2 40-foot refrigerated containers or 4 20-foot refrigerated containers, which we already have. Our company is connected with an associated company in Louisiana, and in the event that there is a growth within the market of movements of goods and services, here from the BVI or USVI, as the case may be, or South Caribbean, we will be able to bring in larger ships that can take in more containers.
The service to the South Caribbean is expected to come on stream in a month's time. Global Shipping will transport not just agricultural produce, but also building materials, farming supplies, beverages, and other products available for trade between the Caribbean islands. Idona John Baptist, Channel 5 News.
On to education now, where a former educator is calling on parents to be more involved in the educational development of their children.
Ernie John Finn from the community of Good Hope started teaching at the age of 13. She called on parents and teachers to be more passionate and responsible about the education of children.
Parental responsibility, this has been neglected. Parents in those days were more serious, whether you could write, whether you could read, whether you knew anything about a book, your student, your child, in fact, had to be in the book. Parents would be at their children, push them, and children were more interested. They were more motivated to learn before. You know, although we didn't have much. We didn't have much. Our parents were not rich people, but the little that they had, we were satisfied, and we went to school and we knew we had to learn.
John Finn also urged teachers to be more committed.
While it is true that we have some very dedicated teachers, we do have some very dedicated teachers, but we have some, they use teaching as a stepping stone to get another job, and some of them, they're just, I get in my salary and that is it, you know. The motivation that we had before, I remember as a young teacher would stay after school and plan our lessons in a group, plan for the entire week, all of us together, one helping the other. Today you hardly find teachers that want to plan, just want to prepare lessons, but they fail to realize if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, and so we are failing our children.
John Finn was among the former educators recognized during the DAT's biennial conference on Wednesday. The other awardees were Velma Ambo, Edna Desabeyi, Uma Edwards, who was out of state, Carol George, who was absent, Marian George, who was also absent, Theodora Greer, Stevenson Hyacinth, Marvelyn Jacob, Rebecca Vina Jacob, she was absent, Denise James, Alice Laronde, Alwyn Laronde, Cathy Jan St. Bernard, Teresa Telemac, Joycelyn Cambran, Cuthbert Elwin, former principal of St. Mary's Academy, who passed away in 2015, was awarded posthumously. Dr. Adolph Cameron of Jamaica was unable to make it to the award ceremony.
Still in education, the ministry is taking steps to reduce the dropout rates among school children.
This as the ministry has appointed a former educator to investigate the causes of children dropping out of school.
We within the Ministry of Education and government been quite aware of the multiplicity of social issues which may result from an increased number of students who drop out from the school system. The government of the Commonwealth of Dominica has engaged Mrs. Gloria Shillingford to investigate the causes of dropout among our students and to make recommendations to the Ministry of Education in dealing with this problem which affects every one of us in the Dominican society.
St. Jean says the ministry will also be addressing several of the challenges faced by teachers.
In the coming months, we shall address a number of issues which impact personally on your performance as teachers and officers within the Ministry of Education. And it is our hope that we will see increased motivation and output from all.
The minister applauded the teachers for the work they do while adapting to change in a modern society.
The task before you as teachers and indeed as a professional representative body is to adapt successfully to the demands of a modern society that requires you to make significant shifts in your approach to education. I must note that in face of the limitations and challenges, you have shown that you are well able to respond to the needs of our young citizens.
Saint-Jean was addressing the 13th biennial conference of the Dominica Association of Teachers on Wednesday.
Facilitator of a national biosafety training workshop says he expects the 4-day certification program has turned participants into effective trainers. Julian Morris has more.
The workshop, conducted by the Ministry of Health's Environmental Coordinating Unit, collaborated with the United Nations Environment Programme Global Environment Facility. The University of the West Indies is the lead executing agency for the project.
So we broke down the 4-day training session. I hope it wasn't too much for the people here. To provide them first an overview of what is the legal framework, the international legal framework under the Cartagena Protocol on biosafety. What is proposed national legislation to address the issues of control of genetically modified organisms, and also to provide an understanding of the management, how to manage the risks associated with GMOs. Participants came from the Customs Department, Plant Quarantine Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries Division, meat importers and agriculture sales representatives. We had a good level of representation from customs, from the agriculture sector, forestry sector, importers, plant quarantine inspectors. So we felt it was certainly a good level of participation by the key people who need to understand the information, who need to understand how to manage the risks. This is not the last of the training program. In fact, this will be the first of a series of training programs. Now we have the materials, we have the people locally who can be able to present this material. We feel this need, and certainly this has been a point made by many participants, that we need to expand the training to other people working in this area as well.
Other facilitators at the workshop were from the Dominica Bureau of Standards and the Environmental Coordinating Unit. Some of the countries currently involved in this sub-Caribbean framework are Antigua and Barbuda, the Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, and Dominica.
Coming up, police news, flashbacks, sports, and weather. Welcome back. Police reports close to $200,000 worth of cannabis weed seized over the Easter holiday.
On Tuesday, Glendit Charles, age 33, was fined $30,000 for the possession of over 9,000 grams of cannabis weed with intent to supply. 25-year-old James Jones Jr. was also arrested, but charges against him have been withdrawn. Meanwhile, one adult male of Grand Bay is in police custody after being arrested in Point Michel on suspicion of possession of over 20 grams of cannabis weed. On Sunday, the drug squad discovered 2 vehicles suspected of being abandoned at Point Michel with just under 60,000 grams of cannabis weed. Investigations are reportedly ongoing.
Members of the Dominica Association of Teachers have been called upon to work together with the Ministry of Education to achieve a common goal.
The call came from the Minister for Education when he addressed the DAT's 13th biennial conference on Wednesday.
Too often, one gets the distinct impression that the ministry is far removed from the teachers and the union. Ideally, the union must see itself as part of one body, one entity charged with ensuring that each child succeeds. That is the vision of the Ministry of Education. And it must also be your vision as a union. We must work together, focused on nurturing a generation of confident, resilient, and adaptable citizens.
Saint-Jean says teachers must be vocal on how the education sector can be improved.
As government, we value the important role that you play as a representative body for teachers. And I believe that the union must develop and consistently articulate a coherent message about how the education system can be improved for more effective teaching and learning. Where you believe that there is need for reform, let us hear about it. We are open to your input and advice. I am aware that communication lines are open and that the leadership of the DAT is not shy about airing your concerns.
Extension officers started training on Wednesday, which is expected to help them develop their certification skills. Here is Julian Morris.
The workshop involves the collaboration of the OECS Commission and the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation in Agriculture, ICA, under the 10th EDF.
It is designed for extension officers and other persons in the private sector along the value chain to enable them to assist farmers to meet criteria required by the GAP audit protocols that will be followed, and in that case to allow them to be certified and enhance the export trade in the various islands and in Dominica. Ultimately, the intention here is to allow you trainees, participants, to be able to gain knowledge, skills, right, which will enable you to be able to plan a GAP audit, and more importantly, to be able to go onto a farm and conduct a GAP audit, and in so doing, help the farmers to meet the requirements.
ICA has developed a GAP audit training manual, which they are currently in the process of compiling, editing, and publishing.
The trade of agricultural commodities continues to be an important contributor to most of the islands within the OECS. However, over the past few years, trends have shown that the value of fresh produce exports from the Eastern Caribbean states has not shown a consistent growth due to increased competitiveness in the regional and international markets. Furthermore, the issue of food safety and environmental standards emanating from the major export markets, such as the EU, Canada, and the United States, have made it more challenging to trade.
Coppel says significant emphasis is being placed on food safety, which has made it mandatory for markets to implement measures to protect consumers. He says Dominica is looking forward to establishing a farm certification system. St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines are next in line to receive training.
That's news. Sports is next with Kenny Williams.
Hello everyone, and here are your sports highlights. First up in sports, Dominicans flocked to the stands at Windsor Park Sports Stadium as Nature Boys took on their French rivals in a match ending 4-1 in favor of Martinique. Tuesday's leg of the Men's Caribbean Football Union Cup had Dominica down 2-0 in the first half. The home team found the back of Martinique's net once, complements a penalty kick. However, that was not sufficient as the visitors added 2 more goals to their tally. Coming from a 7-0 victory over the British Virgin Islands on Saturday, the Nature Boys team had a reality check. Let's have a look at some highlights of Tuesday's match. Meantime, coach of the Dominican team says he expected different results from the match.
I was expecting a better fight from my team, you know, even if the preparation wasn't the best. Seeing that the way the guys perform against BVI, tonight it was just a totally different game. It was just different tonight. I mean, honestly, I feel really embarrassed. Honestly, I'm embarrassed. And as I said again, I still can't really blame the players. You know, it have to do with, you know, it's a lot behind that, man. There's a lot, and people doesn't know it's a lot. And the only reason I'm there is just because I love football, and I've been playing football for Dominica for years, and I feel I could give back. The FA asked me, and I feel I could give back some way. I give in back. You understand? But if we have to compete, we really have to do better than that.
Channel 5 Sports spoke with Johan Naquin, the striker of the Martinique team, who said his team simply gave their best at the game.
It was very good. You know, when you play football, you want to win every game. So tonight we play very good. We win. So everyone is happy. We don't know this team, so we play same like we play every game, and now we win today. We're very happy.
For the cricket lovers, New Zealand suffered their first defeat in the 2016 World T20 World Cup when they lost to England by 7 wickets on Wednesday. New Zealand was sent in to bat and ended on 153 for 8 in their fully allotted overs. Colin Munro added 46 to his team's tally, while Kane Williamson supported with 32. Ben Stokes stirred some trouble in the New Zealand camp, picking up 3 for 26. England, next at the crease, posted 159, only conceding 3 wickets. Jason Roy top scored for England, hitting an impressive 78. Joss Butler came in with 32 not out. England is now through to the final, carded for Sunday, but awaits the match between West Indies and India on Thursday to determine who their rival will be. Meantime, in the Women's League, Australia won by 5 runs over England. Final scores: Australia 132 for 6, England 127 for 7. Finally, after 4 months of training, the Under-16 team has been selected to represent Dominica at the annual Caribbean Netball Association's Jean-Pierre Under-16 Netball Tournament in Barbados. Dominica placed second in last year's competition. The team members to represent Dominica are Rachel Seraphine, Selena Langley, Janae Seraphine, Rachel Marshall, Crystal Banis, Crystal Farrell, Kaylee Clark, Nahima Hector, Shanika Bruno, Kayla Telemac, Janila Phillip, and Shelley Stephen. Meantime, head coach Jennifer Nanton says her team's preparation has given them a better chance at this year's competition.
We don't have to see any team. We are going to take each game one at a time, and if we take each quarter, quarter by quarter, then we'll win the game. I'm quite confident the girls can do well. The girls can do well because we have the last year's best shooter against Tina Langley. And we have 8 of the players of last year and 4 new players.
The team left for Barbados on Wednesday and is expected to return on April 10. Dominica will face St. Lucia in their opening game on Saturday. Other participating countries are Antigua, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Bermuda and Barbados. Barbados was last year's champion. That's all the sports for now. I am Kenny Williams. Join us again next time.
And now for another segment of Flashback, brought to you by the $3 Plus Mega Store.
$3 Plus Mega Store. For all your stationery, kitchen and bathroom supplies, hardware and gardening needs, including toys, party, beach and travel supplies, visit $3 Plus Mega Store at the Pedro Investment Building on the corner of Independence and Great Marlborough Streets. Home decor and fragrances also in store. Open Mondays to Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Telephone number is 449-9951.
Welcome to Flashback, where we take you back into our news archives and share interesting news events from many years ago with you. On this week's Flashback, we are taking a dip into red tilapia ponds which existed in Dominica in the early 90s. Let's take a look.
2,000 pounds of red tilapia, better known as the freshwater snapper or the Nile River redfish, will be harvested from the Kenfield Pond Farm by the end of this week. The management of the farm was handed over to the Republic of China's Agricultural Technical Mission 6 months ago by its owner, Roland Green.
we are happy to be able to join Dominica in its diversification efforts away from its traditional means of earning income.
Dame Mary Eugenia Charles, one of the many distinguished guests, addressed the gathering, praising the Embassy of the Republic of China for the role it has taken on and emphasizing that lessons must be learned.
As Mr. Wang has said, people in Dominica like fish, and we never get enough fish for the population. But as we enjoy the things that they show us that we can produce here in Dominica, we must also enjoy the lessons they teach us. We must also enjoy the fact that they are prepared to share with us their knowledge of how to do things well. If we can do this, we certainly will be far more self-reliant.
The prawn farm's owner, Roland Green, expressed satisfaction at the progress that has been made.
It will be a valuable and profitable project in the future, and I hope other farmers would take the opportunity to go into such a venture.
It was reported that the process of growing tilapia is long and meticulous. Also, the process tends to be expensive as the feed must be purchased overseas. Although this project was not as successful as intended, the fishery officials are still interested in revamping the program as they understand the importance of aquaculture and its benefits to this island. We hope our strong and able youth can use this clip from the past to assist in making the program profitable and successful in the not too distant future. I am Janet Delmar Samuel. Join me next week for another interesting news event from the past on Flashback.
Your weather report is next.
Good evening, Dominica, and welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I'm your presenter, Marshall Alexander. We begin by taking a look at earlier infrared satellite imagery, what it showed. Some areas of convection due to weak unstable conditions presently affecting the area. Now taking a look at earlier visible satellite imagery, what it showed. Some patches of low-level clouds across Dominica and also to the southeast of Dominica. Now taking a look at earlier radar imagery, what it indicated. The associated shower activity across the region today. Tonight's weather is expected to be mostly cloudy and breezy with some scattered showers. Similar conditions can be expected as we move into tomorrow. Sea conditions are expected to be moderate in open water with waves peaking near 8 feet. Small craft operators and sea beavers, you're advised to exercise some caution. Conditions for the next 3 days. Increased cloudiness and scattered showers expected throughout the 3-day period, with the possibility of some isolated thunderstorms expected on Friday. Persons in areas prone to flooding, landslides, and falling rocks, you're advised to exercise caution. Also, a decrease in wind speeds can be expected as we move into Saturday. Conditions for the rest of the Caribbean tomorrow: an increasing cloudiness and scattered showers expected across the region tomorrow due to weak unstable conditions. Our international cities forecast: partly cloudy skies expected in New York, Miami, London, and Beijing, with some rain expected in Caracas. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:01 a.m. and sunset at 6:18 p.m. For more information, you can call the weather hotline at 447-5555 or visit our website at weather.gov.dm. Thanks for viewing. Have a good night.
To end the news, the headlines again. Air access issues remain on the front burner, but the tourism minister says restoration efforts at Douglas Charles have not affected commercial flights. Plans by a prominent Dominican to establish a regional shipping company moves to another level. And police raids over the holiday weekend yield close to $200,000 worth of cannabis weed. Feel free to contact us at news@MarpinNewsMarch30th2k16. You can also watch our past newscasts on our YouTube page. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Angel Lee, and to all our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.